Hello and welcome to the program. I am Deji Bademasi. Now, for many residents of Lagos who live and work along the Apapa, Wharf, Oshodi, Tinkan axis, life has become more like a nightmare for a very long time now. If you are looking for the epicenter of traffic gridlock in Nigeria, it is that axis. Businesses along that axis too have not been the same as a result of the gridlock caused by stationary trailers and trucks. And yet this is an area that is considered the gateway to the nation's economy. Apapa houses two main ports. That's the port of Lagos, that's the Apapa port, and the Tinkan Island port, both of which are not just important trade paths for Nigeria, but also for the entire African continent. The port of Apapa Key is a primary outlet, I should say, for the country's exports. It's also the country's biggest port, handling a wide range of commodities with facilities specialized in handling wheat, oil, cement, fish, dry cargo, and containers, and of course, several others. Now, owing to the volume of business and poor condition of the roads, the major routes leading to the nation's seaports have become seriously congested, resulting in the loss of billions of naira on a daily basis. Companies have been forced to relocate their businesses to other parts of the country. And just about 2 weeks ago, a subsidiary of Dangote Industries Limited, NASCON Allied Industries PLC, shifted some of its operations away from Apapa to Oregon and Port Harcourt. And this is just one of many. On the 24th of May, a presidential task force chaired by the vice president himself, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, commenced work to resolve the issue. The task force was given a period of 2 weeks to clear the area of articulated vehicles, but it couldn't meet up with that deadline, and an extension of 2 weeks was thereafter approved. Already, trucks have begun clearing off the road gradually, but it may take much more than the ultimatum issued to the drivers to solve the entire problem. And one thing is now emerging. The chaotic traffic around the port area has been exacerbated by corruption of a grand scale and allegedly involving some security agencies. Joining me now to discuss this situation at the Apapa port is a member of the Board of Trustees of the Council of Maritime Transport Unions and Association, and the chairman of the Association of Container Truck Owners, Olaleye Thompson. Thank you very much for coming on the program. And I also have Nelson Ekojimi, who is also part of the task team. That task team now that has been given the responsibility to ensure that there's sanity at the Apapa axis as a whole, including the port. Nelson, thank you very much for coming. Let me tell me exactly. I know that the presidency gave that team initially 2 weeks or so, but it's like when you guys got there, you now discovered the magnitude of the problem was something else that you would not be able to achieve in 2 weeks.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. The essence of the 2 weeks was to put everybody on its toes. And even as per the 2 weeks deadline, we were supposed to be sending, weekly reports of happenings in the port. And, that is why when the 2 weeks lapsed, it was further extended.
Isn't it a case of you guys thought you were going to do this, that it would be possible for you to do it in 2 weeks, but then when you got there, you saw the magnitude and the kind of effort it would require for you to do the job that you just immediately knew 2 weeks was not going to be?
No, it's not a matter of, even before the committee was set up, there have been stakeholders meeting, to appraise the problems. Yeah. But, definitely when you are giving somebody a responsibility, you can't just give him a responsibility with a blanket time. You have to give him a time frame. And that was what, necessitated that truth that, go out there and, rectify this problem in 2 weeks, even though we ourselves knew within us that, 2 weeks will not be enough.
Were you shocked at what you saw when you guys got there?
Definitely, because, there were some things you believe could never have happened in the 21st century society. But unfortunately, that became the order of the day within that axis. The level of corruption in that axis is very, very endemic. It involves even all the stakeholders, the port authority.
Corruption tied to what you see at the Apapa port.
Yes, and that was majorly responsible for the traffic gridlock, that turned Apapa once a cherished, part of the state to become so desolate and a ghost, town or a ghost, environment, such that people living in that environment had to relocate, businesses there had to shut down. I'm sure if we do a medical examination of even those who are still living or operating businesses within that axis, I'm sure the danger or the threats that must have happened to their lifespan or to their health is something.
Tell us about this corruption you're talking about.
Yes, this corruption I'm talking about is that you find trucks on the road, trucks that have been on the road queuing to go into the port for say maybe 2 weeks, all because they have refused to play ball. And here comes a truck that has just arrived, or a fleet of trucks that have just arrived.
Refused to play ball. Play ball refused.
Play ball was that the former tax team was headed by the Nigerian Navy, and it involved even the stakeholders. They were collecting as much as 120,000 to 150,000 per truck before they allowed entry into the port, no matter the legitimacy of their papers. It was not about, I have the genuine papers, I have a call up, I'm supposed to go into the port, to evacuate a container containing goods. It's a matter of, look, if you want to access the port, to transact your business, this is what you have to pay. Like somebody, rightly said during one of our meetings, he said the road became for sale. Whatever part of the road your trailer was parked on had a price tag on it. There's a portion of the road called the Red Sea. That is on top of Lily Pond Bridge. At that Red Sea, you might have traveled all the way from maybe Unipan or Pangrove to get to that Red Sea. And before you can access that Red Sea, you will have spent close to 30 to 90,000 naira from the reports we had and our conversation with the drivers. By the time you get to the Red Sea, which is the Lily Pond Bridge, and you are looking at the promised land, Jericho, which is the port, if along that line an officer comes around and makes a demand, if you're unable to accede to that demand, immediately you are turned back, and you go back to Israel and you go back to Egypt. And start a fresh journey.
This is quite funny. Before now, people had blamed your association, for instance, truck owners, for being responsible for what we see in the ports. That your drivers simply park on the roads indiscriminately, and that you're basically responsible for what we see at the ports. But it's a different picture that is now emerging. Is this true?
The gospel truth is, the drivers might have a little blame from the whole thing, but the bulk of the problem is from the task force. Because if you are saying the driver is not doing the right thing, and the driver will be on the road for a week or 2 weeks at times.
But do we have situations like that where drivers could spend like 2 weeks on the just to access the port?
Even as the chairman, my truck stay 21 days on the road. 21 days.
Just to access the port?
Yes. Because I told my manager that, look, we are not going to part way with 1 naira. If you have all the necessary documents and somebody is asking you to bring 50,000, 70,000, 100,000, 120,000.
Just to gain passage?
Yes. And I said no. Me as the chairman, I'm not going to do that. When Admiral Heyo, let me be specific now, when he was in charge, there was a lot of sanity within the system. And then we're even advocating that they should retain the Navy. Because then the man will come up with, before any step, will invite us the association for a meeting together with the stakeholders. We'll suggest to him this is the way to go. Let's try this way. We've tried so many options before we all agree that let's be issuing a call-up. The call-up is 2, one from the Navy then, and the other one from MPA. So if you don't have MPA home, you cannot access the port. And if you don't have Navy home, the NAPA personnel on the road will not allow you to go. But when Ayo left, though when he was around, a lot of things were happening too, but at least he's a man that's listening and he will respond immediately. If you call him, even at the dead hour of the midnight, so things happen, it's okay, where are you? I'm at so place. We'll come down, solve the problem. And if there's any of the officer found one thing, we'll go and lock him up. But when he left, a new man came in. And he said he's not interested in whatever plan that have been on the road. That what he's interested is, just pick 2 officers, you be in charge of the road. And it become a free something. It's either you pay or you don't go. And when it got to a stage that we can't bear it any longer, if the chairman and all other association chairmen are complaining, who is ordinary 1 or 2 trucks owner who doesn't know where to go to? They have been paying this money. Initially, they said they were paying 70, 80. All of a sudden,
just to get passage. And
like you rightly said,
normally they should not pay anything at all.
you are not supposed to pay a dime, not even 1 kobo. But they now change the whole system. Task Force A, you have, if you are coming through Western Avenue, Ikorodu Road, all the way from Abati Barracks, that's where you make the first junction.
Yes, I mean, sometimes sometimes I see some Navy or military men.
Yes, it's a multi tax team. So you have all of them.
Oh, you mean right from that Abati Barracks,
yes,
you might
there.
begin to spend?
Yes, you see them there. They will ask you, our money is so amount. Otherwise, they will ask you to pay. Then when you leave the Abati Barracks, you get to stadium, you see another set of people. When you get to this Alaka estate, there's another team there. When you climb that bridge, that Costain Bridge, that
and at every point you're paying.
Yes, you have to pay. Then the real Red Sea is when you are descending from Costain down to down to Sifax or to Ijorolopa. Because Ijorolopa and Sifax, that is the Red Sea crossing. So it's either you are ready to pay as much as 70, 80, 100K.
This is irrespective of what you've paid before then.
Nobody cares about that because that's the like semi-last checkpoint. So when you pay and they say, okay, you are free to go, you've crossed the Red Sea, then you are heading straight to Israel, which is the promised land. When you get to Total, which is Lily Pond, you think, oh, thank God.
This is after the so-called Red Sea.
Yes.
God, I can't believe it.
When you get to that one, now you now meet another team. That is where you can even be at the verge of leaving to move straight to the point. To the port. One of us will just come and say, hey, from where? Okay, you have to do this. Okay, I just said to so person, can you please go down? So whatever you must have spent from wherever you are coming from, the number of days you have spent on the road, nobody cares. You're going to start the journey all over again. And if the driver eventually say, oh, okay, I've done the needful, I've done this and done that, the beating of this life, destroying of the trucks, destruction, because the headlights and everything, the windscreen. So at the point when we couldn't bear it any longer, you call the man that took over from Mayor. His name is Commodore Shetima. He will not pick your call. You send message, nothing. I've sent message to him severally to even allow me to meet him to discuss, because we met him when we were doing handing over. And we promised that we are going to give you all the necessary support. But the last day of that introduction, that was the last day he allowed any access to him. You couldn't meet him, you couldn't talk to him. And things was, getting worse every day. We can't bear it. So all the associations have to meet, and we wrote a petition. And we thank God the federal government took the right step, because otherwise we'll have taken laws into our hands.
And the point is, if you have to spend this huge amount of money to gain access to the ports, it definitely adds to the cost of your own business, and that cost is passed on to the consumer.
Exactly. That is why the inflation is not going down. Government is trying their best. We wrote it in the petition we wrote that, look, if you say you are fighting corruption, which is a very good one, we are ready to support you. You want the best life for the common man in the country. It's a perfect one. But at the end of the day, nothing is happening. Because all your efforts, there's somebody that is thwarting the efforts. The gateway to the economy is the port. So if things are coming to, for example, before the Herbert of the regime, the task force, so to say, we used to load Ikeja 150, 120. But from the port to from the port to Ikeja, you can ask anybody, 120, 150. But when the demand becomes, abnormal, last December, Ikeja was 750, 800.
You don't mean it.
Yeah, ask people. But within the short period that the new task team came in now, Ikeja now is 300, 280, 250. Because nobody will ever ask you to pay. If you don't pay 150, you cannot cross to promised land. Nobody wants to do that. And things are moving. Back then, when it is 10 o'clock in the morning, ask anybody, they will shut down that road. 10 in the morning, and that road will be locked.
So you mean the traffic we were seeing there at that time was basically contrived?
Yes, of course. It was an artificial traffic in order for people to generate money. Because they were hoping to get from 6 to 10 in the morning, early in the morning. You have to move people to raise money for whoever they want to give the money to. And when it is 10, that road is shut down. It will not be open until 9 o'clock in the evening. So the whole of that 8, 9, 10 hours, the road is free. You think maybe they're doing something, they're not doing anything. It's another means of piling up the traffic so that people will come and start negotiating when it's around 4.
Oh, I see. So you build up the traffic, then people come to negotiate.
People have to come and negotiate. Oh, please help me now. If you are lucky, they will pass through before the day break. Because after party was without.
Because, you know, even those trucks going to the port, not all of them are going there to evacuate products. Some of the trucks have refrigerated, products for exports.
Huh?
Some are products
Some are
for
perishable
exports.
items.
Some are perishable items. So the more you stay on the road, the more the danger to your investment in that container. So you are at a point whereby you are between the devil and the deep blue sea. You are ready to pay any amount so as to meet up with the deadline out there for your exporters. And if you don't do that, your goods in the truck will perish. So that definitely makes a way for them to do all those their gimmick to
So in addition to what you said, a refrigerator container, which we call river container, per day, the demurrage is 84,000 naira per day. And
and of course, the port authority would not understand that. Look, there's traffic, or if there's demurrage,
they only give you 3 days waiver. So how do you manage to do it? Deliver the goods and return the container within 3 days. Even while you are taking delivery, that 3 days is gone.
That's true.
So it takes you about 6 days before you can even access the port. That's if you are a very fast guy back then. Maybe you have spent a lot of money, 6 days to load. To return might take you another 10 days.
Now you have a new team there. How do we prevent this kind of thing from happening again?
Now, let me be the one to answer that question.
Oh, okay.
Because they are assisting us.
Exactly. So, okay.
And now, if you have flatbed, back then, there's no exception. Every truck must pass through the same system. So there's nobody that is doing export that is perishable, or flatbed, or a river container that will ever complain now. Because you know that the highest you can stay on that road is 2 days.
Let me just pause you there. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll still continue this discussion. Stay with us, don't go away. On Deji 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that panel.
Deji 360, providing clarity to issues. All right, welcome back. Let's continue the discussion on the Apapa gridlock, which of course is now disappearing, thanks of course to the efforts of that presidential tax team. Let me still come back to you. Don't you have the fear that, this could, what you just explained not long ago now, could also happen with this new tax team now? Probably they get exposed to the same thing, exposed to the same kind of money, the temptation that, that situation could still come back is there.
I don't think so.
What would What has an association like yours now put in place to ensure it doesn't?
That's what I said. I don't believe that they can deviate from the present, ways of doing things. Because, whoever wants to do something with you from day one, if you are very smart, you know that, yes, these people, they have a very good plan. Right from day one that the task team resumed, they said, look, association call, give us your task force member to stay with these policemen on the road. So if there's anything, if anybody's complaining of, extortion or whatever, then we hold you as association responsible because we've asked you to give you our men. And honestly,
so your men are working with them?
Yes, they're working with them. So if they want to play a game, they won't ask us to bring our men to them.
But Nelson, you can understand the temptation is quite high.
Definitely, the temptations are very high. But like in our submission, we are preferring lasting solutions to the problem because when you have an engagement that involves manual effort, the likelihood of people falling for that temptation is very high. As I'm sitting down here, I'll tell you, we've discussed it even off camera, that look, when I hear these stories of somebody going on with 5 million, 10 million naira a day from bribes, I also want to enjoy such luxury, but I don't want it to come through bribe. I want it to come legitimately. But if I'm not the one there, if any other person is in my position, what happens? So that is why the efforts on ground now is a temporary effort to ensure that we streamline all the activities such that we'll have a lasting and enduring solution to the problem. Because the reason why we have this corruption on this large scale is because of the man-to-man engagement, the manual engagement. When you automate most of these functions, in a way, it will reduce it. And those are the options we are looking at.
Because this is quite surprising. Before now, we all have thought the reason why there's constant gridlock along that route, along the road to the port, is because the roads there are bad, and that's basically why you have that situation.
No, definitely not. The reason why we had the gridlock was because of corruption. Because even when the roads were bad, the terminal operators never complained that trucks were not coming in. And let me also give you this, worrisome scenario with regards to the terminal operators. They are part and parcel of this extortionist syndicate. And why do I say that? A terminal is operating at 10 a.m. There's a change in shift. Somebody is supposed to take over from the person working now. It takes them 2 or 3 hours to, start production back, which means for them to ensure that the kiosk outside is enlarged, it becomes...
Because when there's a delay here...
There's a delay, the backlog,
yes.
So you want to ask, what does it take from a Mr. A or Miss A or Mrs. B to take over job from Mr. Z? Why must there be a 2 hours break in work activities? So that tells you clearly that even the Nigerian Ports Authority is not alive to its responsibility. Because if the Nigerian Ports Authority, as the landlord, as the regulatory body, is alive to its responsibility, it will keep the terminal operators on their toes. A lot of times since we resumed this job, the tax team has been forced to always complain about the terminal operators. That, look, there are trucks in front of your terminal. Why are they not coming in? Oh, sorry, somebody went to it. If somebody is going to it, does it mean somebody else will not take over the job? So you can see that these are all human contrived problems. The traffic gridlock, I agree that some of the drivers are culpable, but it is the system that has given them a loophole, and they are exploiting it to the fullest.
You must be praying this does. I mean, we don't go back to what it used to be. Yes, no doubt about it. But now tell me how things are for you and for your members. You breathe easy.
Very easy, and we have peace of mind now. How do I mean? Before, when you were going to stay for 5, 10, 15 days or 20 days, sometimes when driver just, step out of
and you have to pay that driver for that length of time
pay.
that the driver...
And at the same time, when driver has nothing on him again, he will set the same battery of the vehicle. And you tell you, oh, God, some people came overnight and they attacked me. They have removed my battery. You have no choice, you have to pay. But all those things, they are no more there. Secondly, for you now to promise your clients that, look, give me 4 days, I will load and return your empty. You can be sure of that. So that we are ready to go.
So we were just killing our economy with what was happening.
Exactly. Because if these people can, come in less than 5 weeks, 4 weeks now, and the whole problem that we have been facing for years can just be, almost solved. So what are we talking about?
But the roads too around that.
That's where I'm heading to. The road is not happy matter. We all know that. But within this short period, himself, Honorable Kwefa, Kompo, Dumoso, and all of them, they walk around the clock, even stay with the contractor for palliative measure on the road. But the only thing I don't understand within the system, because some years back, if there's road construction going on anywhere, even travel to abroad, mostly at night.
Exactly.
But here in Nigeria, these people that are doing the president Apapa, maybe they are part of this, maybe they're benefiting something from the gridlock, I don't know. Because when it is 6 o'clock, they're off the road. You can confirm that. 6 p.m. Construction company, and they will not come on Saturday and Sunday, like office work. So when do you want to deliver the road? That's why we're having the problem. Like Apapa, I think my 2 road, that's worst, and there's nothing.
That's gone.
And as we're speaking, yesterday it was 4 containers that fell down on that road. Early this morning, another one again. And it's like that on a daily basis. We talked to Engineer Kuti, please put in palliative measures so that at least there will be a better, he promised us. But by 6, the contractors are not on the road. So is it between 3-4 hours that you're going to do something that will take months? It's not possible. So government needs to help us in that aspect, because the team cannot do more than what they are doing.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let's just hope the road is fixed, and most importantly, let's hope your team also maintains its integrity.
I believe the measures we are, fashioning out to advise government.
Because your team is not going to be there.
For life, no, definitely not. It's a temporary measure.
You have
yes, we have a stop that.
Yeah. No, we are going to, we'll appeal to the government to still extend that time.
Because if they leave, then the naval guys may come back.
No, it's not possible. In fact, we will not allow that to happen. We told the Vice President, we've sent him a letter, we're pleading. It's not by force, but we're pleading to him that please, don't allow it to happen again. Because if it happens, it's not only we, the truck owners, are suffering. It's affecting Nigeria. Everybody. The common man on the street is affected. Is suffering from it.
Everybody. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be discussing something else. Stay with us.